Good morning, BookTube. Thought I'd make a video, even though I don't know if it's been 24 hours. I am sitting here in the dining room, drinking coffee, drinking water, writing in my diary. Today I am on page 273. It is March the 24th, 2017. It's 10:35 in the morning here in West Michigan. It's a Friday, so I thought I'd do a Friday reads. What am I reading on this Friday? Well, this morning I have been reading this book I got in the mail this week, Scripture, Real Presence and Sacramental Exegesis in the Early Church. It says here, in Scripture as Real Presence, leading theologian Boersma argues that the heart of patristic exegesis is the attempt to find the sacramental reality, real presence of Christ in Scripture. Boersma discusses numerous sermons and commentaries of the Church Fathers to show how they regarded Christ as the treasure hidden in the field of the Old Testament, and explains that the Church today can and should retrieve the sacramental reading of the early Church. I'm really interested in patristic exegesis, medieval exegesis, modern exegesis, evangelical exegesis, 17th century Puritan exegesis. I'm a student of biblical hermeneutics and history of biblical interpretation, and so that's why I got the book. So I was reading this morning. Also reading for Friday reads, Light on the Mountain, Greek Patristic and Byzantine Homilies on the Transfiguration of the Lord, translated by Brian E. Daley. So I'm reading those in the mornings right now on this Friday. This is my March 2017 diary. We're coming, next week is the end of the month. I already got my April 2017 diary ready. I'm kind of risking it because I might drop dead before April, but you just got to keep going, live by faith. I didn't mention that I got in the mail this week or last week. This is the Mary McCarthy, the complete fiction landmark edition, including the 7 novels and the 8 classic stories. This is put out by Library of America. It's really nice. I have almost all of her works in paperback, and I have her nonfiction too, and a biography of Mary McCarthy. It says here in the back of the this is Mary McCarthy novels, 1993 to 1979. The group, Birds of America, Cannibals and Missionaries. And then in this volume, from 1942 to 1963, The Company She Keeps, The Oasis, The Groves of Academia, Our Charmed Life and Stories. So yeah, I have these on my desk. Maybe I'll get into them this year. But I was really kind of pleased to get them. I've always been interested in Mary McCarthy. She was married to Edmund Wilson, who I also collect, a writer, a literary critic, essayist, man of letters. So yeah, I got these. They're on my main study desk, and so I got those this week. As far as also, I got in the mail yesterday. This is a new book called Man's Better Angels, Romantic Reformers, and the Coming of the Civil War by Philip E. Gura. I have 3 other books by Philip E. Gura. He wrote a book on its introduction to American Transcendentalism and he also wrote a book on the beginning of the novel in America called Truth's Ragged Edge. And I have another book of his downstairs. I can't remember the title of it right now. But I started reading this. I got it yesterday in the mail or the day before, and I've been reading it. This is my Friday reads. I read this late into the night last night, and really enjoying it. It says here in the flap here, banks failed, credit contracted, inequality grew, and people everywhere were out of work, while political paralysis and slavery threatened to rend the nation in two. As financial crises always have, the panic of 1837 drew forth a plethora of reformers who promised to restore America to greatness. Emanated by ethic of individualism and self-reliance, they became prophets of a new moral order. If only their fellow countrymen would call on each individual's God-given better instincts, the most intractable problems could be resolved. Inspired by this reformed fervor, Americans took to strict dieting, water cures, readings, utopian communities, free love, mutual banking, and a host of other elaborate self-improvement schemes. Vocal activists were certain that the solution to the country's ills started with the reformation of individuals, and through them, communities, the nation. This set of assumptions ignored the hard political economic realities at the core of the country's melees, however, and did nothing to prevent another financial panic 20 years later, followed by this succession and civil war. Focusing on 7 individuals, George Ripley, Horace Greeley, William B. Greene, Orson Squire Fowler, Mary Gove and Nichols, Henry David Thoreau, and John Brown, Philip Gura explores their efforts from the comical to the homicidal to beat a new path to posterity. A narrative of people and ideas, Man's Better Angels captures an intellectual moment in American history that has been overshadowed by the Civil War and the pragmatism that arose in its wake. For those who know, I am a student of American history, especially 19th century America, and I was really enjoying this. So I started reading it last night, and will continue to read it today and through the weekend. I'm also reading Sleepless Nights by Elizabeth Hardwick, which I'm really enjoying, and reading The Partisans, Marriage, Politics, and Betrayal Among the New York Intellectuals by David Laskin. And I've been reading. I was kind of critical of this new book on the Beat literary movement called "Best Minds of My Generation: A Literary History of the Beats" by Allen Ginsberg, edited by Bill Morgan. I've been finding it as I get into it. It's kind of spotty, but it had a good. Yesterday I read it, and Ginsberg had a good analysis of Kerouac's experimental novel, The Visions of Cody. And so I keep planning to read this weekend. This is part of my Friday reads, the weekend reads. So I'm reading The Best Minds of My Generation, Literary History of the Beats by Allen Ginsberg. Reading Sleepless Nights by Elizabeth Hardwick. Reading The Partisans, Marriage, Politics, and Betrayal Among New York Intellectuals by David Laskin. And reading The Man's Better Angels, Romantic Reformers and the Coming of the Civil War by Philip F. Gura. And in the mornings, I'm going to read Light on the Mountain and Scripture as Real Presence, Sacramental Exegesis in the Early Church by Hans Boersma. So that's what I plan to read, and maybe this year I'll get into reading Mary McCarthy. I'm really excited about getting these in the mail. She's always been a very person that I've always had on my radar as an important literary figure in American literature, especially in like her novels, or I just really look forward to getting into them. So that's what's going on here in this Friday reads. This is what's going on here in my book world. I got books coming in the mail. I went to thrift stores. I showed you the books I got at the Humane Society. I got a lot of used books this week, and I just kind of decided I'm just not going to show them because there's just too many of them, and I've just not been in the mood lately to show all the used books I pick up at thrift stores. There's just too many, and so I just thought I'd focus on the things I'm reading and the things I'm getting in the mail, things I'm reading for devotions in the morning. So that's what I'm going to do. I'll start over next week, maybe if I go to thrift stores. I don't know. So I'm hoping you had a good week and that you'll have a good weekend and that I will see you next time. So feel free to comment, ask me questions. Thanks for the subscribers. Until next time, bye.